So the first thing we're going to talk about this morning in this area is MongoDB Charts. MongoDB Charts, the product we released in beta previously, is the most intuitive way to build charts and dashboards off data sitting in MongoDB. It's fully interactive. You drag and drop fields. You build charts. Your users can actually interact with them, zoom in, pan, et cetera. And it's fully document aware. It understands arrays naturally. It understands what you might want to do with different kinds of data. And it works really nicely. This is what the chart builder looks like. You can drag fields, move things around, lots of different chart types. You can take those charts, put them into really beautiful dashboards. And one of the new features in MongoDB Charts is that you can actually build charts and build dashboards in MongoDB Charts, but then embed them in your own application. So you can build the dashboard once. You embed it in the application. And not only can you embed a generic chart, you can embed a chart where the data gets personalized for every user logging in. So Eliot logs in and sees Eliot's dashboard. To show you just how easy it is to build charts, build dashboards, and embed them in your applications, I'd like to invite the product manager behind MongoDB Charts. Please welcome Tom.
You come from a land down under.
Thanks, Elliot. So hi, I'm Tom Hollander, Product Manager for Charts. Now, two of the things I love are data visualization and great food. So today, I'm going to be using data visualization to help me decide where I should be going on my ultimate foodie vacation in the United States. And the best way of visualizing data that's stored in MongoDB is using MongoDB Charts. So let me show you why. So I've already loaded into my Atlas cluster a whole bunch of information about restaurants and restaurant reviews. And then I've gone and activated MongoDB Charts within my Atlas project. So let's get charting. So this here is the chart builder. And I am going to select my restaurants reviews collection. Now notice how Charts is showing me all the fields in the collection, calling out the different data types in use, as well as calling out where there are nested documents and also nested arrays within that particular collection. Now Chart supports a range of common chart types. But to get started, let's build a simple column chart that shows us the average restaurant reviews rating for each state. So doing that is simply a matter of dragging the state field into the x-axis, and I'll take my review rating field and put that into the y-axis. Now, notice that because the review rating comes from an array, and that's because every restaurant might have multiple reviews, Charts is asking, how would I like to handle this array data? So there are a number of options here, but in this case, we want to calculate the mean or average score for, across all the different reviews. And furthermore, we want to calculate the average score for all the restaurants across an entire state. So let's give this chart a title, Review Score by State. And in just a few seconds, we have our first chart. But this probably isn't the best way of visualizing this particular data. So this is all about geography. So wouldn't it be better if I could use a geospatial chart type to visualize that? So let me go and choose a different chart type. So I'm going to choose the geospatial category, and then I'll use what's called a choropleth, which is a fancy way of saying that we're going to be shading in the states based on their restaurant review scores. So let me just center this and zoom this a little bit. And suddenly we have, I think, a much nicer chart that gives us a really visual idea through both the shading and also the tooltips of where we might be wanting to go on this particular foodie trip. So let me save this to the dashboard, and I'll rearrange it a bit to make a bit more use of the screen real estate. So you can see here there's a bunch of places we could go. But it looks like California is a bit of an outlier with some great restaurants. So that's going to be probably pretty high up on my list of places to go. But it's also a pretty big state, so I'd like to narrow it down a little bit. So let's build another chart to help with that. Now, my next chart's going to be similar to my first one, so I'm going to use the duplicate chart option. But this time, rather than just coloring in the states, I'm going to use a heat map to actually show me where in the state I should be going. Now, this particular collection has GeoJSON data that has the latitude and longitude of every restaurant stored. So I can simply drag those coordinates into the appropriate field, and we can see here the hotspots of restaurants around the whole state. But remember, we've already decided, the whole country. But remember, we've already decided that we are interested for now in California. So let's use the Filters tab to very quickly filter just to show data from California. So let me zoom in to get a bit of a better look, and we'll give my chart a better title, review score by area in California. Save that chart to our dashboard too, and resize it. And you can see that there's a cluster of some pretty good restaurants around the Bay Area, so that might be where I might be going first. So great, I built my dashboard with a couple of lovely geospatial charts, and I'd like to share it with some other people who also love great food. So I could use this access button to share this with other people who are members of my Atlas project. So that's great, and that might be sort of 2 or 3 of my colleagues, but suppose I want to share this information a little bit more broadly. So this is where embedding comes in. So with embedding, I can use this wonderful authoring experience and then make this chart available in any web-based application. So let me choose the embed chart option. If this were sensitive data, I could use verified signature to make sure that this chart could only be seen by authorized people. But since this data is not sensitive, for now I'll be using the unauthenticated option. So I can simply turn on unauthenticated access, leave it on, copy the embed code, and I could paste that into any application. So today I've got a WordPress blog, could be anything, but let me go and choose the custom HTML widget, paste in that, and press the preview button. And we should see in just a couple of seconds, we have my chart embedded in that blog. Now this is not a picture, this is actually a live chart where I can zoom and pan, and if new restaurants or reviews were added to the collection, that would be instantly reflected in this particular blog post. So I hope I've shown you today why MongoDB Charts is the best way of visualizing data stored in MongoDB, as well as embedding them in your own web applications. Back to you, Eliot.
So MongoDB Charts, the most intuitive, interactive way to build charts on your document database. So when is it available? So MongoDB Charts is GA today, both in Atlas and on-prem. So you can start building really great charts right now.